Bulletstorm, released by People Can Fly and Epic Games, is a game that delivers an over-the-top, action-packed experience full of chaotic fun, and in many ways delivers just that. However, it has its share of flaws that prevent it from reaching its full potential. One of the game's most enjoyable aspects is the wide variety of creative and powerful weapons you can use. From the explosive flail gun to the charged shots of the penetrator, Bulletstorm constantly encourages you to experiment with different ways to eliminate enemies. The game's skill shot system, which rewards you for killing with style and creativity, makes each weapon feel unique and fun. However, the game limits you to carrying only 3 weapons at a time, from which one is always the basic carbine. While this pushes you to make strategic choices, it also feels unnecessarily restrictive given how much fun the arsenal offers. A larger weapon limit could have added more diversity to combat scenarios and made the game's creativity shine even more. But it is product of its time in this sense also, as it feels games during this period had a lot of weapon carrying limitations. One frustrating element of the gameplay is the difference in sensitivity between normal aiming and aiming down sights. The sensitivity when you aim down your weapon sights feels much faster and less precise compared to regular movement, which can make it difficult to line up shots, especially during the fast-paced action. This inconsistency is a noticeable flaw in a game, at least on PC, that otherwise feels smooth and responsive in terms of movement and mechanics. Movement in Bulletstorm is fast, fluid, and exhilarating, contributing to the frenetic pace of combat. Sliding into enemies, quickly transitioning into kicks, and using your energy leash to pull enemies toward you is consistently enjoyable. The lack of a jump mechanic, though, feels like a strange design choice. In a game that emphasizes mobility and chaos, being unable to jump feels like an unnecessary restriction, especially when it comes to traversing the environment. You do have the slide mechanic to make up for it, but the absence of a basic jump stands out. The core mechanics of the game, kicking, sliding, and using the energy leash, are its heart and soul. Kicking enemies into environmental hazards, sliding around to avoid attacks, or yanking enemies toward you for brutal up-close kills feels great from start to finish. The skill shot system makes each of these mechanics rewarding, encouraging players to string together combos in creative and violent ways. It's a system that keeps combat fresh and engaging, even as the story drags a bit. One of Bulletstorm's biggest strengths lies in its set pieces and combat arenas. From battling hordes of enemies in creatively designed environments to controlling a giant, laser-shooting robotic lizard. Yes, that's as awesome as it sounds. The game constantly throws new, unique experiences at the player. These moments provide a welcome break from the standard run-and-gun formula, making the game feel like a series of high-octane, cinematic experiences. Each level feels distinct and memorable, filled with colorful environments and chaotic combat. Despite being an Unreal Engine 3 game, Bulletstorm is still one of the best-looking titles to come from that generation. Its vibrant color palette sets it apart from the many drab, brown, and gray shooters of its time. The environments are beautifully designed, offering a lush and varied alien world that feels alive, even amidst all the destruction. The game's visual clarity also complements its fast-paced gameplay, ensuring that even in the heat of battle, you're always aware of what's going on around you. The sound design in Bulletstorm is another area where the game works quite well. The gun sound effects are powerful and impactful, making every shot feel satisfying. Whether you're unloading a shotgun blast or slicing enemies in half with a flail gun, the sound effects give each weapon a real sense of weight and power. Explosions, environmental sounds, and the satisfying crunch of a perfectly timed kick all add to the overall immersion. The music is a fitting mix of metal and orchestral pieces, which complement the fast-paced, chaotic nature of the gameplay. The high-energy metal tracks ramp up the intensity during combat, while orchestral elements help maintain a sense of scale and epicness in the game's more dramatic moments. This blend fits well with Bulletstorm's over-the-top style, making the audio a perfect match for the game's wild, adrenaline-fueled action. Dialogue tries way too hard. If there's one part of Bulletstorm that consistently misfires, it's the dialogue. The game is filled with excessive cursing and edgy banter that tries too hard to be funny or gritty. Unfortunately, it quickly becomes repetitive and juvenile, detracting from the experience rather than enhancing it. The constant barrage of crude jokes and insults grows old fast, and while some might find the over-the-top style entertaining at first, it lacks the wit or charm to sustain its impact over the course of the game. The story in Bulletstorm is, unfortunately, another weak point. Centered around betrayal and survival on a hostile planet, it's a by-the-numbers narrative that does little to captivate or surprise. It serves mainly as a vehicle for the action, but it's hard to get invested in the characters or their motivations when the plot feels so uninspired. The shallow dialogue and attempts at humor don't help, leaving the story feeling like little more than background noise to the gameplay. Replay value is high with challenges and achievements. Despite its relatively short campaign, Bulletstorm offers significant replay value. The game's challenge modes and achievement system provide plenty of incentives to return. Players can replay levels to perfect their skill shots, aiming for higher scores and unlock achievements tied to creative kills or completing certain challenges. These features extend the game's life beyond the main campaign, providing fresh objectives that encourage players to experiment further with the weapons and mechanics. For those who love to push themselves to achieve higher ranks or unlock every achievement, Bulletstorm offers hours of additional fun. Short but sweet campaign, the campaign clocks in at around 4 hours, making it a relatively short experience by modern standards. However, what Bulletstorm lacks in length, it more than makes up for in sheer enjoyment. From start to finish, the game is a whirlwind of exciting combat, creative set pieces, and over-the-top action. While the story might not stick with you, the experience of playing through its chaotic levels certainly will. Bulletstorm is an imperfect but undeniably fun shooter that delivers a high-energy experience, even if it stumbles in areas like story and dialogue. Its fast-paced movement, creative weapon mechanics, wild set pieces, and punchy sound effects make for an incredibly enjoyable ride. Despite its flaws, like the 3-weapon limit, inconsistent aiming sensitivity, and lack of a jump, it's an easy recommendation for anyone looking for a unique and entertaining action game. The metal and orchestral soundtrack, combined with the game's great sound design, only enhances the experience. With a variety of challenges and achievements, Bulletstorm also offers solid replay value, giving players plenty of reasons to keep coming back. If you can overlook the juvenile writing and generic plot, Bulletstorm is a blast from start to finish.